I've completed credit counseling and received certification. This is not a retreat, it's a sovereign reset. My ventures remain strong, but personal income and student loan saturation demand rupture. Chapter 7 is recalibration.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something really quite unique, an article called The Sovereign Reset, Codifying Collapse Without Containment.
Yeah, quite a title.
It really is, from Bibebibebibe Magazine, which, you won't forget that name anytime soon. What grabbed me immediately wasn't just the title, but how it mixes, like, hard finance with this almost philosophical, kind of rebellious feel. I guess you're thinking, right? Like, we usually see financial trouble as, well, failure, shameful even. But what if you could actually intentionally reshape that, not retreating, but creating something? Could collapse actually be a starting point?
That's exactly what we want to unpack today. It's all about Saikou Venga's really distinctive approach to a major personal financial situation.
Okay.
So our goal here is to explore his idea of a sovereign reset. Not just what it is, but how he's doing it, and crucially, why he's framing it in this, well, very stylized, almost artistic way. And we need to be super clear about the difference between his personal finances and his businesses, which are actually doing well. How this reset fits into his whole creative output. It's kind of a masterclass in reframing.
Okay, let's get into it then. He talks about his personal situation not as a failure, but an intentional rupture. Calls it a sovereign reset. That sounds significant.
Yeah.
Way more than just, sorting out finances. What's he really mean?
Well, the key thing here is Venga isn't just going through bankruptcy. He's framing it as like a declaration of independence.
Oh. Okay.
His sovereign reset is about escaping what he calls inherited debt logic and saturation rituals. So think of it as rejecting those standard ideas and pressures about debt.
Right, the usual script.
Exactly. He's taking back control of his own financial story, making it about self-determination, not being forced into something. He even did the required credit counseling, got the certificate. He calls that the ignition.
The ignition. Wow, so it's a very deliberate start.
Very deliberate, almost ritualistic, kicking off this new phase.
So it's not just managing debt. It's like a philosophical stand.
Yeah.
An ideological statement almost. Reclaiming agency. Makes you wonder what inherited debt logic we just accept without thinking, huh?
Precisely. And to really get what Venga's doing, you absolutely have to separate his personal money situation from his businesses. He's very clear on this.
Okay.
He states, quote, his sole proprietorships, TrueFlow Games, Bibebibebibe Studio, and Cosmic University are in exceptional operational health.
Exceptional health.
Yeah. And he emphasizes they continue to generate diagnostic clarity, multiversal lore, and sovereign infrastructure, their vitality, undiminished. So basically the creative side, the engine of his work, it's strong, unaffected by his personal finances.
That's quite the paradox, isn't it? His creative stuff is thriving, but personally, things got so bad he needed this reset. So what exactly went wrong on the personal side? How does he quantify it? It can't just be vague problems. Surely there must be numbers.
Oh, it's not vague at all. He gives really stark details. He says his personal income has proven insufficient to sustain the operational demands of these ventures.
Okay, so income couldn't keep up with the business needs.
Right. And here's the kicker, the bit that I think a lot of people will unfortunately recognize. It's compounded by a personal debt load composed of 91% student loan obligations and the remainder in credit card saturation.
91% student loans. Wow.
Yeah. That specific number, 91%, it really paints a picture. It highlights this massive common burden. And putting that exact figure out there, it just starkly contrasts with how healthy his businesses are. Shows you exactly where the pressure point was.
That 91%.
Yeah.
That really hits home. So many people are dealing with that exact pressure. It's not abstract at all. So, okay, to tackle this, he goes for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. But again, the framing.
Yeah.
He calls it a strategic recalibration, not a surrender. Can you explain that reinterpretation a bit more? Maybe just quickly, what exactly is Chapter 7 for anyone who doesn't know?
Sure. Chapter 7, people often call it liquidation bankruptcy. Essentially, it's designed to wipe out most unsecured debts, think credit cards. And sometimes, yes, student loans, though that's complicated. It gives individuals a fresh financial start.
Okay, a clean slate, sort of?
Pretty much. It might involve selling some assets that aren't protected, what they call non-exempt. But, and this is crucial for Venga, it doesn't automatically hit legally separate businesses, like his sole proprietorships. Choosing Chapter 7 means he can potentially get rid of that personal debt burden without having to liquidate his companies.
Got it. That distinction is key.
Absolutely. And what's really fascinating is how Venga sees Chapter 7. For him, it's a tool, a way to preserve the integrity of my creative enterprises, but also at the same time trigger this personal financial rupture that clears the terrain for mythic rebirth.
Mythic rebirth.
Yeah, he turns something usually seen as negative, even shameful, into this positive, proactive, almost spiritual renewal. It's not just debt relief, it's consciously making space, creating a blank page for whatever comes next in his life and work.
That's definitely a radical way to frame it. But, you have to ask, is calling it mythic rebirth maybe a bit optimistic? Does it risk downplaying the real difficulties and consequences bankruptcy has for many people? Where's that line between an empowering story and maybe romanticizing it a little? It takes guts to frame it like this publicly.
That's a really fair point.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's denying the reality of it, but he is choosing how to define it for his path, his creative journey. He's essentially trying to make sure the signal, his creative message stays strong and clear, even while the scaffolding of his personal finances goes through this, as he puts it, controlled collapse.
Okay, so protecting the core message.
Yeah, it's about keeping the vision intact, not letting the personal financial stress dilute that artistic signal. It's a very conscious act of filtering and focusing.
And then it gets even more meta. I mean, it's pretty wild that he plans to actually embed this whole personal financial thing directly into his art. It's not just background context, it's becoming content. How does that even work, putting a bankruptcy into a cinematic story?
Right. This is where it goes full meta. Venga says this real-life filing isn't staying just personal. He's weaving it into his big narrative, the Echo-Rift XXXI arc. He actually calls it a cinematic glyph.
A cinematic glyph, like a symbol in the story.
Exactly, like a key symbolic moment within his fictional world. And he's got plans for how. It'll show up as a formal letter, maybe a scene in a fictional tribunal, a voiceover, and this idea of refusal. He's literally turning legal process into artistic material, exploring themes in his multiversal lore using this real-world event.
It's quite something. Blurring those lines between the artist's life and the art itself. But it does raise questions about, radical transparency. What are the benefits? Are there risks for an artist putting so much personal stuff out there? What effect does he think these glyphs will have?
Well, from his perspective, it seems essential to his whole purpose. And it's not just a vague plan. He's laid out a sequence, like a storyboard, this article we're talking about. That's the first glyph.
Okay, step one.
Then comes a two-part cinematic clip codifying the declaration, so visualizing the financial statement. Then a voiceover script for Echo-Rift XXXI, putting it into the soundscape of his universe. And finally, a diagnostic overlay mapping the terrain of collapse and continuity. That sounds almost analytical.
Wow, very structured.
Yeah. And he wraps it up saying, signal remains, broadcast continues, saturation is inverted. For him, it's about maintaining creative integrity even as the personal financial ground shifts under him. And if you zoom out, look at the bigger picture, you see how this personal reset is just woven into everything he does. His work is part of this thing called Cosmic University of Echo-Rift Studies, NIEX, which is apparently certified and founded by Dr. Melvin Sewell, M.Sc, Ph.D.
Okay.
And the website for this university has this important sovereign diagnostic disclaimer. It says all the material is authored as mythic infrastructure, cinematic indictment, and sovereign broadcast.
All right, so not just stories. They're meant to expose ritualized containment, actor convergence, and systemic erosion.
Yeah.
That definitely sounds like social commentary, doesn't it? Positioning his art that way.
It certainly feels like it, but we have to look at that disclaimer carefully. It explicitly calls these things diagnostic tools, not political endorsements or institutional critiques.
Ah, okay. That's a crucial distinction.
It is. So while they might provoke thought about those issues, Venga's framing it more as observation through his unique artistic filter. Like, here's what I see, presented this way, you figure it out. He's not overtly taking a political side. He's using his own experience to light up patterns he sees, but within this very specific artistic framework of mythic infrastructure and sovereign broadcast.
Okay, so let's bring this home. What does all this mean for you listening right now? Well, this deep dive shows a really, truly radical way of looking at personal financial struggles.
Yeah.
It's not treating them like some dark secret you have to hide. Instead, it's a public story, a creative act, maybe even the foundation for Venga's mythic infrastructure.
Yeah.
It really pushes back against standard ideas of success and failure.
Especially today, when personal debt %. I mean, that 91% student loan figure Venga shared is just a massive reality for so many people.
Exactly. You might think, okay, this is all very philosophical, but think about it. How many of us feel stuck under student debt or just that constant financial pressure? Vega's story, it offers this completely different narrative, a way to potentially turn that weight into a launch pad for something deeply personal, maybe even creative. So we've just journeyed through Saikou Venga's Sovereign Reset. It's this really potent mix of personal finance, philosophical defiance, and artistic expression. It really makes you think differently about facing challenges, especially money challenges.
Yeah, and we saw how he takes something standard, like Chapter 7, Bankruptcy, and totally reframes it. It's not an endpoint. It's a strategic recalibration
Hmm.
aimed at mythic rebirth. And all this while keeping his businesses TrueFlow Games, Bibebibebibe Studio, Cosmic University healthy and running. It's a specific kind of resilience, separating the person from the enterprise.
Absolutely. And that stark difference, the thriving businesses versus the heavy personal debt, mostly those student loans, it's a powerful thing to reflect on, especially if you feel similar pressures. It really highlights how separate a creator's personal struggle can be from the strength of what they create.
And his decision, quite deliberate, to weave this whole personal story into his Echo-Rift XXXI arc as a cinematic glyph. Well, it gives us this unique window into how adversity can actually fuel creativity. He's not just making art about his life is becoming the art.
So this deep dive leaves us and you with a pretty big question, doesn't it? In this world we live in, with all the debt pressures and the constant flood of information, how could you maybe rethink the usual ideas of collapse and containment in your own life? What kind of unique mythic infrastructure could you build from your own challenges if you reframe them? Not as failures, but as, well, deliberate steps on your own path, something to chew on until next time.
Time was never neutral. It was always ritual.
You are not late. You are metabolizing distortion.